Something is even worse than telling lies, it's believing the lies. Here's another story that's completely untrue. Magdeburg Christmas market attack. Um, they did it in Berlin a few years ago, and now they're doing it. They're determined to spoil people's tranquility. This is a variation on the Operation Gladio. In those days, the communists were the enemy, and therefore the government created terrorist events that the communists were given the blame for. They didn't do it, but the public believed it in Italy, and the communists became less popular. It's a common tactic to do this. They frame people. Are the very same people who invite Muslims to come to our countries, then frame them for things they didn't do. Okay, let's take a little look at this story. I honestly wish I could get a bit of an audience because I've been seeing the same thing done over and over again. It's rinse and repeat over and over again. The same stories, get people to blame Muslims. They didn't do it, but the public believe it because they want to believe it. They've been tricked into believing that this is the type of thing Muslims want to do. Right? They don't. Okay? They're just winding the public up. And who's behind it all? Well, Israel is. They're behind it. They're behind this whole thing. But this event in Magdeburg was done by the German secret services in exactly the same way as similar events in Britain are unfortunately done by our own so-called secret services. I wish they didn't do it. I really do. It's frightening that they do these things. I have to tell you, it's incredibly frightening to know that our own government and other governments in Europe, not just here in Britain, but all over Europe and all over North America and Australia and places like that, do these type of things. These are very, very awful times we live in. It is incredibly depressing that by pressing a few buttons in people's consciousness, they can get people to blame innocent people, right? This idea that Muslims have got any real reason to drive into fucking Christmas markets is complete and utter nonsense. Christmas markets aren't even very Christian, for goodness sake. Basically, it's just people go along and have a sausage and a glass of mulled wine and buy some tat made in China, usually, at least in this country. It's not Christian. It's got very little to do with Christianity. Santa Claus, for example, that was created by by Pepsi Cola, or Coca Cola, wasn't it? You know. Okay. If you look at the writing here, and believed to be around 50 injured. Believed to be. The vehicle is understood. Believed. Understood. Right. Unconfirmed reports. Right. The driver of the car confirmed as a doctor from Saudi Arabia. Right. He'd been living in Germany since 2006. Right. Of course. He decided to drive, after living in Germany for almost 20 years, he's decided to drive his vehicle into a Christmas market. Right. The attack is being treated as deliberate. Well, I mean, even if the guy was a Muslim, it doesn't necessarily mean... If the guy's been a doctor who's been working in Germany for 20 years, is it likely that this doctor would drive his vehicle into a crowd at a Christmas market? No, it isn't. The attack is being treated as deliberate. Well, as a matter of fact, accidents do happen, and especially older people can easily lose control of a vehicle. But it's being treated as deliberate. In other words, if an old Christian woman did that, it would not be treated as deliberate, but if a Muslim man did it, it's treated as deliberate. Okay. French president, yes. He was deeply shocked. Isn't that reassuring? Aren't the German public extremely gratified that the French president, the homosexual Macron, married to a man, is deeply shocked? Yeah, he was deeply shocked. Pain of the German people. Right, well, you know, a couple of people died. It's not World War III. Anyway, witnesses describe warlike scene. A new photograph shows the Christmas market strewn with debris. Car ramming attack. Here's another word they like. It has to be a black BMW. It couldn't be a pink car, could it? Ploughed. Driving in a zigzag pattern. in an apparent attempt to injure as many people as possible, driving in a zigzag pattern. Described a warlike scene. Yes. A view of the Cornlough Christmas market after the incident. Hang on, what's going on here? Toddler among the dead. At least 60 injured. A total of 68 people have suffered injuries. Has confirmed, 50 years old. He is not previously known, and they're claiming that this person had explosives in the vehicle. As well. Right, here we have the meaningless picture. Right, I'll come back to this, hold on. Yeah, here we have the militarised guy who just so happens to be in the scene. Obviously, there's an enormous amount of security services. They're not even security, they're actually the opposite. But lots of them are always around immediately. Doesn't matter. Magdeburg is a relatively is not such a huge city like Berlin or Munich or Hamburg or somewhere like that. I don't know. Let me give you a British example. It would be something like the size of Bath or somewhere like that. That kind of thing. So Reading or something like that. It's not a huge city. Latest update. More pictures from the scene. Look at all these people. Where did they all show up from? Look at them in their with their face masks on. Special forces. Yeah, special forces. Suspect. Incident has been treated as a terror attack. The pictures are terrible. Yes, the pictures are terrible. I'm amazed they can get away with this shit. Car crashes through barriers. Drove straight into shoppers. Yes, indeed. That's what they say happened. But I don't believe it. I'm certain this is another faked event. Mapped. Yeah. You see, people have been tricked into thinking these are the type of things that Muslims would do. I'm on record as opposing open borders. I strongly oppose open borders. But what's happening is that Muslims are being invited into our countries so that they can then be framed. They can then be a scapegoat. And who benefits? Israel benefits. Because it's their idea to do it. It's the Kalergi plan. Look at this low quality videos. Again, another feature of all these lies is incredibly low quality videos. The fairy tale area of the market. She said she just managed to jump out of the way. How convenient. She just managed so that she can tell the media. Please let the emojis do their job. Yes. A terrible event, especially in the days before Christmas. What a wind-up. People are being played. People are being tricked. European Christmas markets frequently targeted. Yes, there was a faked event at the Christmas market in Berlin, and that event was faked. In fact, what they did was they stuck a fucking Christmas tree in the front window of the truck, as if somehow it hit a Christmas tree and it was embedded itself trunk first into the window, right? Oh Lord, oh God, please, 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 please stop believing these things. They're winding the public up, right? Of course they chose the Saudi. Of course Saudis were involved in faking the 9/11 attacks so that they could get the blame. Obviously, even though the Saudi nationals were alleged to be behind the attack, Saudi Arabia itself completely nothing happened. Nothing whatsoever happened to Saudi Arabia. They decided to attack other countries instead. Iraq and places in Afghanistan. That's how they do it. They just attack anyone. And the public went along with it because the public thirsted for revenge. Goodness grief. Oh God, how I wish I could somehow hijack the television and have my say on TV and maybe I could reach a few people that way, because a lot of these people have never ever heard any alternative explanations as to what's going on. In just the same way as the vast majority of people are not even aware of Building 7, right? Which in itself is an enormous, enormous. But people, you see, if people don't want to understand these things, right? They don't want to. They feel they're clever. Oh, it's Muslims again. It's obviously Muslim, right? Muslims are there to be blamed. Yeah, I don't want millions of Muslims in our country, but they're being framed for things they didn't do. They didn't do this. It's exactly the same as Gladio, except on a much bigger scale, right? Daniel Ganser wrote a good book about Gladio. He's a Swiss researcher, and it's about NATO's secret armies and what they do. So this is a very, very common technique. It's been used many, many times in the past. It's been used, the Glaubitz incident, or the Polish border, the Mukden incident, when Japan framed the Chinese for something they didn't do. Pearl Harbor was another example of that. It did actually happen, but the Americans wanted it to happen. The Lavon affair, of course 9/11, London bombings, Berlin Christmas market, Bataclan, Sydney Station, all that stuff. I mean, there's just too much, man. I've got to show you a picture of this ridiculous. Hold on. Yeah, this is supposed to be where the car was doing the zigzagging. What's all this rubbish all over the place? I mean, none of these huts, they all seem to be closed. I mean, apparently, so basically somebody's just thrown a lot of fucking rubbish all over the place. There's a box here, wooden bloody pallet of some sort. They're all closed. They've all had time to shut up shop. I mean, obviously it's not a very festive scene because it's not snowing or anything like that. So what they've done is they've just created a psyop to inflame public sensibilities. I really hope some Germans are aware of what's going on. There will be a few, but the vast majority of people will be in the dark. They don't understand the way things work. They don't understand what's going on. I mean, I have to say that I'm actually physically shocked by just how evil, just how incredibly evil these people are to do this to us. I mean, how disgusting to do this. I mean, for me, this time of year means very little to me because I'm a single guy, I ain't got no kids. So for me, these are just days of the week to get over with. I'll manage just like I do every year. Go for a walk or something and just get the day over with. It's not a big deal for me one way or the other. But they're spoiling people's mood. Yeah. I mean, to frame people who for things they didn't do, it's absolutely shocking that they do this. It's absolutely shocking. I mean, it doesn't matter how often they do the same thing. They get away with it. People never say, hang on a minute, isn't this a bit weird? Why would Muslims, the black BMW, the 50-year-old dog, believed to be, it is understood. Police say they're unable to rule out. Suspected driver. Yeah, confirmed. 50-year-old doctor. Yeah. As if do you really think a 50-year-old doctor who's been in Germany for 18 years is going to really drive a vehicle zigzag through a Christmas fucking market? Right? Does this look like a car's being driven zigzag through it? All it looks like is somebody's taken a whole load of rubbish and just strewn it all over the fucking place. This is not the scene from hitting, this is not the scene from, this market is completely dead. Right? Was there anyone there? I can't believe how people fall for it over and over again. But there are going to be victims from this, real victims. They create fake stories to create real victims. 9/11 didn't end on the day. It was used to justify wars. Many, many people died. Hundreds of thousands of people died. Millions of people were injured. And it goes on to this day. And every time you believe a lie, you're worse than the liars themselves.